Hi guys, welcome to another video. In this video, I'll show you guys how you can connect HubSpot with N8N. So we have been receiving a lot of automation requests from our clients, and we are connecting a lot of different softwares like Jira, Asana, Trello, HubSpot, GoHighLevel, and a lot of different software where we are creating automations for our clients. If you want your automation to be your custom automation to be created, there is a link in the description through which you can contact. And recently we created an automation for HubSpot, and I thought to create a tutorial video for you guys on how you can connect HubSpot with N8N. And there is a known issue with the HubSpot triggers. So the built-in node in N8N for the trigger of HubSpot doesn't really work well. It gives you permission error multiple times. And in this video, I'm going to show you guys to fix and to implement trigger of HubSpot with N8N. So make sure to watch the complete video. And without further ado, let's get into the screen. Okay, now this is our blank N8N workflow. I'm going to click on this plus sign and find for HubSpot. Click on that and search for create contact action. So basically what we are doing is we are creating a new contact using N8N. So I'm going to click on create or update a contact. And now here we have the option to create the credentials. I'm going to click here and then click on create new credential. Now we will use the app token method. And in order to generate the app token, let's go to Google and search for HubSpot developer. Here you have developers.hubspot.com. Click on that. And I'm going to click on create developer account. I already have the developer account. If you don't have, you will use the same login as your HubSpot account. Now let's click on create developer account. And here you can see that I already have created this account. So I'm going to click on continue with this user. Click on continue with this account. And here we have our developer platform and developer dashboard. Now click on legacy apps and then click on create button here. And from here, we will click on private for one account to create the private HubSpot app, which we will connect with N8N. Okay, now you can name this app whatever you want. I'm going to name it N8N test in order to show you guys as a demo. And then click on scopes and then click on add new scope. Now you can add multiple scopes if you want your app to create company, or if you want to create contacts, or if you want to create any other object in the HubSpot, you can select those specific scopes. So for now, I'm going to select contact scope. So let's search for contact. And here you can see we have this CRM objects context, right? I'm going to select this and then read as well. Perfect. Click on update. Okay, you can see that we have these two selected scopes for our app. Now click on create app and then click on continue creating. Perfect. Our test app in HubSpot is created. Now we will click on auth, and here we have access token, which we will use in our N8N. So click on show token, and then I'm going to click on copy and then paste my app token in N8N and then click on save. Perfect. After saving, you can see that our created credential has been successfully created. I'm going to do a test and try to create a contact in my HubSpot account. So let me go to my HubSpot. And then go to contacts. I'm going to ask my editor to hide all of the contacts because this is the HubSpot account we use in our production. Okay. Now we will create a new contact. And I'm just going to add test1@gmail.com for now in order to test if our node in N8N is working and creating a new contact in our HubSpot. Click on execute step. And here you can see that our contact has been created. Right? Now let's try searching that in our HubSpot account. So I'm going to hit refresh in my HubSpot dashboard and then search for test1 at gmail.com. And here you can see that the contact has been created. Now this was the action node when we want to do something in HubSpot. Now I'm going to teach you guys how you can set up a trigger. Now let's suppose if you want a different app to do something when a new contact is created in HubSpot and you want to do this via N8N. So if a contact is created, you would send an email notification. I know that's a basic level workflow, but you might need an advanced trigger or you might need an advanced level workflow which requires HubSpot trigger in N8N. Now let me show you the issue with the N8N if you try to do that. So if we do that via the normal method, so let me try adding a trigger. So I'm going to search for HubSpot again. And in HubSpot, I'm going to find a trigger for contact. Here you can see that we have trigger and I'm going to select on contact created. Now, when I do that and when I use these client ID, client secret, and developer API key, which you will need to generate using a public app. So the way we generated a private app, we just got this access token. In order to set up a trigger with node of N8N, you would need to create a public app. Let me show you how to create a public app. So we're going to go to back to all apps and then click on create and select the public. So the normal credentials with just the access token will not work with the HubSpot trigger. You will need to have OAuth, redirect URL, client ID, client secret, and your developer API key. And how you can generate that with the public app. So that is our public app. And if I go to auth, you can see that we will have app ID, client secret, and a developer API key. And you will also need to add your OAuth redirect URL here. So let me first create the app. Okay, I'm going to name this public app testing N8N public app. Okay. And then click on auth, scroll down, and here I will need to add in the redirect URLs. If you're using N8N locally, you can also add the localhost URL. I am using it on my server and I'm going to use this URL, which is here. So let's first remove this one. I'm going to actually just create new credentials. So I am going to click on this drop down and then click on create new credential and then name it HubSpot Trigger Tutorial. So that is the name which I set for my credential and that is my OAuth redirect URL. So I'm going to click on this click to copy button and then paste my OAuth redirect URL here. And once pasted, you can see that we have this create app button. I'm going to click on create app. And once your app is ready, you will go to auth again and then copy your app ID, and client secret. So let's do that. Click on copy for app ID, paste in your app ID here and copy the client ID, paste the client ID here. And you have the secret, which I'm going to copy by clicking on this copy and then paste it here. Now for the developer API key, you will need to go back, click on back to all apps. And here on your developer dashboard, click on this drop down keys. And here you have developer API key, right? So click on that and you have your developer API key here. I am going to click on show and then click on copy and then paste the developer API key here. Perfect. Once done, you can see that it's asking to connect your account. Now click on connect my account. And when you try to connect your account and click on choose account, you see that it gives you an error authorization failed because there's a mismatch between the scopes in the stall URL. Now, that is a known issue with the N8N and HubSpot trigger integration. Now, no matter whatever scope you give this app to, but it's not going to work. So, if I add in all of the scopes, and I've tested that multiple times, so if I go back to my apps and then click on this my public app which we created, click on auth and assign the scopes here. So these are the scope which you will need to add. So if I click on add new scope and add in my contact scope, because I am using this trigger when the new contact is created, right? Click on update, click on save changes. And now if I try to reauthorize in N8N, so click on connect my account, it's gonna show a similar error. Click on WebSense Pro, click on choose account. And here you can see that it's now giving that you do not have these access scopes. Now I have tested with all of the access scopes. So I have given all of the access scopes to my app, but still getting this error. If you are not getting this error, maybe you are on a different version. And if it's working for you, then you can set your HubSpot trigger this way. But if you are also facing this error, which I was facing when I tried to create trigger, what you can do is use a webhook. Now we will click on this plus sign, search for webhook. And in this webhook node, we will use this URL, which we can also customize. So I'm going to name it HubSpot Trigger or just HubSpot maybe, right? So we are going to use this webhook in our private app, not the public app. We created public app for the trigger, which did not work, right? And we created a private app for adding a new contact, which was in action in the N8N. We will use this private app. So click on this app which we created in private, go to webhooks, click on edit webhooks, and here you will need to paste your webhook URL. This N8N test webhook URL will only work when your workflow is inactive. If your workflow is active, you will need to use this production URL. The difference between these two URL is that dash test. So if you notice, there is a dash test here, right? And on the production URL, we do not have that. We will for now use the test URL. So I'm going to copy this URL by clicking on this URL here and then paste it here. Once pasted, click on create subscription and here select the object type. So from this drop down, we are triggering this when a new contact is created. So I'm going to select contact, and from events, we want it to be listen when a contact is created, right? We can trigger this based on deleted, based on property change, and we can select these different events. But for now, I'm going to select created and then click on subscribe. Okay. Make sure that the subscription type and event which you have created is showing this active here. If it isn't showing active here, click this checkbox and then click on activate. Mine is already activated. You might sometime see it pause to make sure it is activated. Once this is done, go back to your N8N and select the HTTP method to be post. Once done, click on listen for test events. And now we will create a new contact to see if this webhook is triggering when a new contact is created. On create contact, I'm going to name it test new, test. Click on create. And once your contact is created, you go back to N8N and you can see that we have the output here, which shows the contact which we created. So it is going to trigger whenever a new contact is created, and make sure to use the test URL if your workflow is inactive and the production URL when your workflow is active, and the webhook URL should be here updated. So if you click on edit app, you need to make sure that you update the production URL here if you have your workflow activated. So that's it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to create more tutorials like this. I have previously created a lot of tutorials related to N8N. You will find a playlist down in the description, and there is a complete beginner level tutorial as well for the N8N. So if you want to create AI agents on your own, you can watch that tutorial. Until next video, have a great day.